It's always nice when a familiar friend comes to town, like the 2015 Scion FR-S. We love the car in its first original iteration, but it's back. Pretty much the same thing, slightly retouched, slightly retuned, a little bit more refined, but pretty much the same great car that we loved, same front engine, low slung, low center of gravity, rear wheel drive, affordable fun. For 2015, you'll notice a new shark fin antenna on the roof and a set of new tailpipes out back. Other than that, everything looks pretty much the same. With all the upgrades for 2015, Scion's only adding an extra $400 to the MSRP, bringing the cost of a manual up to $24,900 and this automatic up to $26,000 even. Now I know what you're saying, oh no, automatic sports car? Well, I kind of had the same feeling, except I remembered back last year when we got to go to Willow Springs and I had never driven that track before, and this was the first car I got to take out there. And one of the things that I remember a driving instructor telling me, when you go to a new track and you have no idea what's going on, don't worry about shifting. Just leave it in one gear that can get you through the whole track and find the line. And once you find the line, you'll find the gears and then you'll find the speed. And you know what? This was a great tool for figuring that out. The idea behind the original FR-S was a mono-spec vehicle, which means there was only one way you could order it. The only options was automatic, manual, and maybe a fancy radio system. That was it. Fast forward to 2015 and the ball game is completely different. Now you can have a monogram series with leather, you can get a 10th anniversary series with a shift knob that lights up, you can even get the release series 1.0 with a crazy yellow TRD body kit. So now, no matter whether you want your FR-S from mild to wild, there's something that you can have from the factory. But even if you just want a plain base FR-S, don't fret. Upgraded for 2015 is a new dash panel which gives the car more of a carbon fiber look and less of these mini T Easter egg Toyota logos that they had from before. And another thing that you might be interested in knowing is that for the first time you can get navigation. The biggest question and the first thing you have to ask yourself is, can you have a sports car that has an automatic transmission? The answer is yes and no. I mean, you're always wondering, should I have gotten the manual? Would I be happier being able to shift my own gears? To be honest with you, it's a toss-up. For traffic, for commuting, the automatic isn't that bad of an option. Now, it still has some kinks, there's still some things to be worked out, but it's not that bad and it's still pretty quick. And as I was saying before, I used this car the first time I ever drove on Big Willow. Big Willow is a big, fast track, and I felt really comfortable driving this car because I didn't have to worry about shifting. Just something to think about. You sit way down low in the chassis. It's almost like you're sitting in a tub like an S2000. Really nice sports car feel. Whereas with the original FR-S, you couldn't get navigation. Now, our test vehicle comes with this nice touchscreen display, color, really nice, easy to use navigation. It's actually really smart and intuitive when it comes to traffic. It'll actually find the best route for you. I think that came from Lexus, something Lexus used to do very, very well, and they still do. Speaking of the rear suspension, that retuned rear suspension for 2015, one of the original complaints and one of the differentiators between the Toyobaru twins, between the BRZ and the FR-S, was that the FR-S was thought to have a more stiffly sprung rear end, which meant that the car was more lively and would like to step out without you trying so hard. Whereas the Subaru seemed like it was more stable, keeping the back end behind you. Now for 2015, Scion's gone back and retuned the rear suspension so that you're more in line with, I guess, what the Subaru offered originally. With our automatic FR-S, we get traction control, VSC Sport mode, Sport, and a snow mode. Now, I've found that crawling around in traffic, the car seems to be a little bit lurchy with the throttle pedal, and if I leave it in snow mode, it actually crawls a lot better. In sport mode, the transmission shifts almost a little bit too harshly, but I guess that's what you want when you're driving a sports car. You can also flip it over into manual mode, whereas downshifting, and you can really hear that engine. Now, one of the other things to think about with the Scion FR-S is the price. When the car was originally conceived, it was heralded to be the affordable sports car. And while the price has only gone up a little bit, there haven't been that many turnovers. So if you're trying to find a used one, good luck. Prices are holding very, very firm for where they once started, and people just aren't selling them. So if you want to find an FR-S or a Subaru BRZ, odds are you need to go to a dealership and find a brand new one. Now, the question you have to ask yourself is, this $25,000 value purchase, well, when you add some options, when you add the transmission, our car's stickers for almost $30,000. And at that rate, once you plan it out, if you have bad credit like me, you'll be paying around $450, $500 a month for the next 5 years for this car. Is that something that you really want to do? Is it really worth it? Maybe with a manual, maybe with a turbo, maybe with a track day membership. But that's just one of those things you're going to have to ask yourself if you want to own a Scion FR-S. I know I do. So in the end, is it really that big a deal that this FR-S has an automatic transmission? I mean, the most beautiful parts of the car are the chassis, the steering, and the suspension. So when you get right down to it, the transmission really has nothing to do with how great the Scion FR-S really is.